Welcome to my pregnancy update for week 18. It's Amanda with Eat, Pray, Crunch. Thanks for joining me. Oh my gosh, can you hear the rain? Let me show you the rain real quick. Oh my gosh, do you see that rain out there? It is pouring right now. And I love it. It's kind of soothing hearing it on the skylights and the roof and everything. I'm a little distractible these days, if you can't tell. Anyway, it's pouring down rain out there and I think it's awesome. We had some sun, warm sun today, and now it's pouring down rain. It's just fall time and I love it. So as you guys probably saw, I posted our gender reveal a couple days ago, and as you can see, we are having a girl. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I'll probably do a little repeat in this video of what I did in that video just in case you didn't see it. I'll link it down below as well. But anyway, long story short, I am so thrilled to be having a girl. Oh my gosh. I have always wanted to have one girl and one boy, and I am just beyond thrilled. I am seriously excited. So just as a little reflection now, I can say some things now that I couldn't before, just knowing what the gender is now, but it's interesting to me because we actually tried for a girl. As much as you can try for a girl. There's something called, I believe it's the Shuttles method. There is this theory that it might actually be scientific. I think they may have actually observed this phenomenon, but the theory is that the girl sperm or the XX sperm are slower and hardier, and the male sperm or the XY sperm are really fast, but they also die really quickly. So if that theory is correct, then that means that you can time things such that it favors the XX or the XY sperm. The idea is if you want a boy, you have sex like the day you ovulate. So if you're keeping track of your ovulation and everything, you know when the day you ovulate, or if you're doing your ovulation tests or whatever, and you go for it that day because those little XY sperm are really fast and get to that egg immediately, like that day. Whereas if you want a girl, then you're supposed to have sex like a few days before you ovulate, and then not like the day before and the day of that you ovulate, so that the boy sperm have time to die off, because they're not as hardy, they don't live as long, and then the slower, hardier female sperm just hang out and wait until the egg pops out. And so that's the theory behind it anyway, and we kind of tried it. It was kind of a half-baked try. I think, you know, it was like maybe 2 days before I ovulated or something, but anyway, who knows if that's the reason why, but it worked and we had a girl. And as I said in my gender reveal video, there were some reasons that was leading me to sway more towards thinking that I was having a girl. Even though I didn't want to say that beforehand just because you really don't know for sure. But my very, very first intuition when I found out I was pregnant was that it was a girl. And then I started to doubt that because my acupuncturist had done his little test and predicted boy, and then I did the IntelliGender test and that predicted boy, and I was like, oh well, you know, maybe that was just, you know, wishful thinking or something, and it wasn't actually an intuition. I was starting to think that those things were right. But then later, I started having the sweet, the old wives' tale sweet cravings, which is supposed to be more girl. And I have also, I was going to mention too, that you know, I said before that most of my nausea really is gone. It doesn't really bother me at all anymore, except it's almost like clockwork almost every night. There are a few nights that it doesn't happen, but almost every night, right as either as I'm brushing my teeth and just about to go to bed, or like right as I lie down, I get this wave of nausea, and like sometimes it's really bad, and like I just have to like focus and put on my C-bands and like eat some crackers. And like even right after I brush my teeth, it's like, oh, I gotta eat some crackers, otherwise I'm going to be sick. And you know, usually then it calms down and then I fall asleep and it's not an issue again until the next night when I go to bed. Supposedly the theory is when you're sicker longer, it's an indicator of a girl because of the hormones or something, just because a female fetus also has more estrogen and whatnot, which I guess is partly what makes you feel sick, on top of your own hormones. So who knows if that theory is true, but I have been having more sickness, lingering sickness, than I did when I was pregnant with Alex. So that was kind of making me wonder as well. And like I said in my reveal video as well, after the 13-week ultrasound, they give us a DVD every time, which I absolutely love about this place that we go to. And I, you know, me being the impatient, curious person that I am, and also just being really interested in how sexual differentiation happens in a fetus, I just think that biological process is fascinating. So I was doing a lot of reading on that as well, and just going back and looking at the ultrasound. There's a really good picture of baby girl's little bum there, and I like paused it there and looked at it and compared it to, because I actually still had the DVD of Alex's 13-week ultrasound, and in his ultrasound Alex stretched his legs out like this, and it was very obvious he was a boy, very obvious. There was a little protrusion there. And this time around it wasn't there. And comparing it to what I had been reading about sexual differentiation at that many weeks gestation, you know, it wasn't perfectly clear. It's ultrasound, so it's not crystal clear, you know, but it was making me thinking that kind of looks like a girl, but I didn't want to say for sure because, you know, you never know for sure. Sometimes they're wrong, and sometimes it's easier to be wrong with girl than boy. So, but my intuition, my symptoms, and my educated guess all together was making me secretly think that it really was a girl, and I was right. So, anyway. Yeah, we are just so excited that Alex is going to be a big brother to a little sister. I was having a little trepidation that if we were going to have two boys, there might be a little more possibility for rivalry. I mean, if it had been two boys, they also would have been really good buddies too. But then I was thinking about it, and I really think that like boy-girl can really be buddies as well. Like I'm thinking about some people I know where like brother and sister are really, really close. And so I was like, you know what, they can still be buddies, being boy and girl, you know. And just being 2 years apart, I think that that's actually likely. But I also like that they're boy-girl because then it's hopefully less likely to have quite so intense rivalry, you know what I mean? So I'm just happy, I'm just thrilled with how it's all playing out, and we are just thanking God. And like I said, we honestly would have been truly happy either way. But it really is, you know, a dream come true to have a little boy and a little girl, so we're just so happy. So, as part of the ultrasound, they did the anatomy scan, and baby is perfectly healthy. They checked, you know, every organ. It's a really intense, long ultrasound, and baby is very healthy. They checked like all the chambers of the heart and like parts of the brain and kidneys, like everything that you can imagine. And baby came out with a very clean bill of health, has 10 fingers, 10 toes, and is looking really good. I was really surprised at the end that the tech switched it over to 3D. I was not expecting to be getting a 3D ultrasound when I went in that day, but, you know, and honestly, like I wouldn't have chosen to do that because I know that the frequency, the waves of a 3D ultrasound is more intense, and it's not something that I would want to choose to do. It's, you know, it's probably totally fine. And she just did it for such a short amount of time. It was just like 1 minute that she did it, and I was surprised. Like, it was kind of emotional for me just seeing baby in there and in such detail. Just seeing her, I love saying her now, it's so cool. Just seeing her little face, and I'll put a little clip in right here. Anyway, it's just so magical to see this little human in there, and just like thinking that she's like about this big at this point, and just that she has everything there, and like these facial features, and like she was moving all around, and like at one point it almost looked like she was rubbing her eyes, doing the sleepy eye thing, like with one little hand, and just moving her arms all around, and oh, it was magical. And I am honestly really happy that the tech did that for us at the very end of our ultrasound. Anyway, a few of you guys have also been asking, how is the hematoma doing? Good question. Clearly, as part of this ultrasound, they also checked in on my hematoma, which was also one of the main reasons I went in as well. It's good news. It's definitely shrinking. It was originally 10 centimeters by 4 centimeters, I believe, at its biggest when I went in at 12, 13 weeks. And now it was 8 centimeters by 2 centimeters, I believe it was. So it's definitely shrinking, but it's still pretty significant. Like, it's still there. So it definitely confirms to me that like going on bed rest was the right thing to do. Like, I really think that it did help that initial healing process. I've had 0 bleeding since my initial bleed at 11 weeks. So I think that it really is healing in there. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Grace and Beauty. Hi there. She was also reminding me that when you have a hematoma that big, that it just takes longer than most people's to resolve. And I'm trying to definitely keep that perspective that like, you know, my first reaction was like, oh, it's still there and it's still kind of big. But I am also trying to keep the perspective now that it's shrinking, and that is the direction we want it to be going. So that is actually really good news, and just remembering that it's probably going to take a while because it's such a big hematoma. It's a big bleed. There's a lot of blood in there, and it's going to take my body a long time to absorb all that blood. I'm trying to get into the mentality that it's probably, you know, obviously not going to be resolved by 20 weeks because I'm 18 and a half weeks now. And then it might take even to like 30 something weeks, who knows. So I am just glad that it is going in the right direction. It's not growing, I haven't been bleeding, it is shrinking, even if it's shrinking at a slow pace. So very happy about that and thanking God for that, and we are continuing to pray that it just keeps moving in that direction and that baby girl stays safe in there. I asked the doctor in terms of activity level if I should continue doing modified bed rest or what. We actually saw a different doctor this time than we did last time. Didn't like her quite as much as the last one, but whatever. It was just a brief little interaction, and she gave us the information we needed. And she said basically I can resume doing normal activity. I told her that I do have, you know, a 28-pound son, and she said you really should be limiting how much you lift him. She said, you know, it doesn't have to be complete avoiding of lifting, but should still be really limiting, finding ways throughout the day to adjust my lifestyle so I don't have to lift him very much. So that means that I am officially off bed rest. Hallelujah! I am just so thankful to be getting back to normal. And I am, first of all, let me say I am just so thankful to everybody who helped watch Alex the last 2 months. Like, I seriously don't know what we would have done without that kind of support. I made a Facebook post about it today and I was just so thankful. And I listed those people's names off. I mean, it's like going back and like looking at my schedule and be like, oh yeah, that person helped and that person helped and that person helped. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just so thankful to all of you. Thank you. You know who you are. And yeah, I seriously just feel so blessed to have such supportive, amazing people in my life. It really made it possible for me to get the rest that I needed to heal. But moving forward, that means that I am kind of sort of getting back to normal. Today was my very first day of having like a full day with Alex by myself in almost 2 months. That's crazy to think. Like, I'm a stay-at-home mom right now, and I haven't been alone with my child for a full day for almost 2 months. But honestly, it felt so good to be back in the routine today. And I really, it's different because I really am trying not to pick him up very much. So I am trying to do, like, I change him on the floor. We do a little potty routine with him. So I'm trying not to put him up on the big potty with the kid potty seat. I'm trying to use like the little baby Bjorn that's down on the floor, the little baby Bjorn potty, so I don't have to lift him, I just sit him on there. There's some lifting that's inevitable, like I kind of have to get him in his high chair. He has to be restrained while he's eating, otherwise it would be chaos. And then also obviously his nap time, I have to lift him in and out of his crib. I also did lift him into the stroller today, and we went on a granny walk together. I think I can pick up the pace from granny walk now, and I'm just doing slow walk. And that felt really nice to just get out, because the sun came out this morning, and it was just nice for Alex and I to just get out and have a little walk. I was sitting there walking with him thinking, this is the first walk I've been on with him since like August. And the last time I went on a walk with him, it was like sweltering hot outside, and now look, it's fall, it's almost Halloween. It just made me realize how much time has gone by. But it was really nice to be doing that again. I did lift him into the car today as well, because we are car shopping, and we have actually decided on a car that we're going to get, since we are needing to get a family car. I talked about that a couple of vlogs back. We were trying to find the perfect family car for us, because like, we really, we don't want to rule out the possibility of having a third child. We haven't decided yay or nay for sure whether we're going to do that or not, but we don't want to have to go car shopping again in like 3 years if we decide that we want to have a third child. So, so we really wanted to get a car with a third row, but then again, as you know, we are kind of crunchy, and really, like, being stewards of our environment is super important to us, and so we just couldn't with good conscience get a gas guzzling SUV. And most of the SUVs that have third rows are the really big ones. There are some mid-sized ones now that have third rows as well, but even those are still not great gas mileage. We're used to driving little Honda Civics to get 30 miles per gallon, and we just have to pay $30 to fill up our tank, And so we really wanted to, find some sort of compromise in there. So we've been researching, and finally we did some research on Consumer Reports, and we finally came across exactly what we're looking for, and like really found that this car is a one-of-a-kind kind of car. But it's a Mazda 5 is what it is, and it has really good ratings on Consumer Reports for the most part in terms of reliability, but like, you get a lot of bang for your buck with this car. It's like what you would call a micro minivan. I'd mentioned before that Bill's like dead set against getting a minivan. He doesn't want to bruise his manly ego by getting a minivan or whatever. Like, I really didn't care, but it mattered to him, so I wanted to respect that. This car, it's technically a minivan, but it's like a micro minivan. It's like a compact minivan. They have many names for it. It's like a crossover. So it's basic. What it really is like a cross between a minivan and a station wagon, and it has a third row in it that folds into the floor. So it's perfect for what we need. The gas mileage is like 28 miles per gallon on the highway, and like 21 or 22 or something in the city, which is almost as good as our Civics. Like, it's a little bit worse, but like, it's pretty darn close. So that's, for having a family car, like, that's awesome fuel economy. Anyway, we decided that is the car we want. So we've been shopping specifically for a Mazda 5. Oh, and Bill is insisting he wants to have manual transmission. We're very European in that way. We love driving a stick. And, it's just more fun to drive, you have more control, and it's better fuel economy driving with a stick as well. So, and that is the only minivan that comes with a manual transmission. So we just feel like we found a needle in a haystack here with this model of car. So anyway, I kind of digress here. But today we went to go look at one, and it is a little bit, it's like the original model. It's a 2006, which didn't have perfect ratings like as well as like a 2010 or beyond. But the price was so good. Like, these cars are so affordable for what you get and for the reliability, and we found one with a manual, and it's been really hard to find that because we live in America and most people don't drive a stick here, so it's harder to find. And so we did find this person selling one on Craigslist, and that's what we did today. I put Alex in the car and we drove down and checked it out, and so it's looking promising. I don't know if we're gonna get it or not, but we're having the dealership mechanic check it out and make sure that it has a clean bill of health. But like, it was an awesome looking car, honestly. Like, as I've said before, we are cheap and cheaper, and we have never in our lives bought a car that is younger than 10 years old. And so this one would be 8 years old. So that's really new for us. And it was really well kept. It was clean inside. Anyway, I digress again. I'm really getting excited about having a new car and having a family car and having more space. Just because like we are maxed out with our little tiny Civic and Alex, and like, maybe it's part of my nesting instinct, but like, I just want to be prepared. I want to have a vehicle where we can fit both children in it. So, and being able to carry like our stroller and yada yada, all the stuff that modern kids need these days. I guess need is a subjective term, but you know what I mean. We are American, we try to live simply, but we do have some of those American necessities like our stroller and things, so, and our big diaper bag and all that. So I am really looking forward to having a family car finally. I can definitely tell that we're like grown up now. It's like, I'm excited to have a minivan. Oh my god, I'm excited to have a minivan. I guess that means I'm a grown up now. So that's the big stuff for this week. I guess I can mention a couple symptoms I've had this week. You know, I mentioned the nausea thing. All the way through this pregnancy, I have been having crazy dreams. I know I mentioned that earlier on. Like, they're not quite as crazy as they were in the first trimester, but they're still weird. Like, I'm having weird, like, intense, vivid dreams every night. I'm like, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, whoa, what was that about? Dreams where I like see people that I haven't seen in a very long time, or like just like visiting places that I had forgotten about, like, you know, places that I went to in my childhood that I would have, it's like back in some little cavernous place in my brain back there that remembers these places that I've been to in my childhood and in my past. Anyway, weird dreams. The other thing is my body apparently has gotten itself onto a pee schedule. At night, that is. I wake up every morning and it's either exactly 5:30 a.m. on the nose or 6:30 a.m. on the nose. Like, I roll over in bed and I'm like, oh, yeah, 5:30, time to get up and pee. Like, seriously though, it's like clockwork. I wake up at that exact time early in the morning and I have to pee. It's kind of become my little like sleep routine. I can practically do it while I'm still asleep. And the final thing is I've been getting, my TMJ pain is back. I know I mentioned that in the first trimester that I had been getting this TMJ pain. I have always, just as background, I've always had TMJ joint popping problems. Like, you probably see my jaw pops, but I've never in my life had pain with it ever, until I was pregnant this time. And so anyway, back when I had it in the first trimester, I made an appointment with the dentist to have them look at it, but they couldn't get me in for a month, and by that point it had gone away. So I was like, oh well, it's probably just a pregnancy thing. And then a few days after I went to the dentist again, it came back. Go figure. Murphy's Law. But yeah, just like it would hurt to chew, especially be like more on one side than the other. For like a whole day, it would just be like this annoying kind of pain when I chewed especially. And then the next day it would be gone. So anyway, another weird little pregnancy symptom of this week. So anyway, that's it for this week, you guys. Sorry if this one's a little bit longer. I had a lot to talk about this week. But yeah, that's it. I'll show you my belly now. There it is from the side and the front and the other side. So that's it for week 18. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. And thank you for being patient too on my fertility story. I've been a little sidetracked with all the stuff that's been happening this week. I'm going to be working on part 3 of that this week, so stay tuned for that as well. And thanks to all of you who have subscribed recently. Welcome to this channel. If this is your first time, be sure to hit the subscribe button below, and if you like this video, click the thumbs up button, and we'll see you next week for week 19. Have a good week, you guys. Bye.